The sky didn't look normal that morning. Not stormy, not sunny either, just heavy, like the air itself was waiting for something. Daniel noticed it the moment he stepped outside his apartment in downtown Chicago. The wind felt strange, colder than it should have been for late summer. The streets were louder than usual too. Sirens in the distance, car horns, people arguing over nothing. He checked his phone. 3 news alerts. Markets crashing. Unexpected power outages across multiple states. Mass protests turning violent overnight. He muttered, "What is going on with this world?" But honestly, chaos wasn't new anymore. War headlines, disasters, politics, fear, every day something worse than the day before. People had stopped being shocked. They just scrolled, just survived, just kept moving. Daniel grabbed coffee from the corner shop like always. Same old lady behind the counter, same smell of burnt toast, same tired faces. But today, nobody was talking. Everyone kept glancing at the sky through the window. Clouds were stacking on top of each other like mountains, dark gray with streaks of gold light cutting through them. It almost looked alive. "You feel that too?" the cashier asked quietly. "Feel what?" said Daniel. She hesitated. "Like something's about to happen." He forced a laugh. "Yeah, probably another storm." But deep down, he didn't believe that, because his grandma used to talk about days like this. She was old school Christian, Bible open every night, praying constantly. When he was a kid, she'd say, "Before Jesus comes back, the world will feel wrong. People will ignore God, chaos will grow, and most won't even notice the signs." Back then, he used to roll his eyes. Now, those words wouldn't leave his head. On his walk to work, he passed 3 police cars speeding by, helicopters overhead, a man shouting on the sidewalk, "It's happening! Read Revelation! It's happening!" Everyone ignored him like he was crazy. Daniel did too. Still, his chest felt tight. At the office, things got weirder. Half the staff didn't show up, phones weren't connecting, internet cutting in and out. His coworker Mike leaned over and whispered, "Bro, my sister called crying, said her church group's been praying all night. They think we're close to the rapture or something." Daniel smirked. "Man, people say that every year." "Yeah, but this feels different." Before Daniel could respond, the lights flickered. Once, twice, then went out completely. The whole building went silent. No AC, no computers, nothing. Just the faint rumble of thunder outside. People started walking to the windows, and that's when they saw it. The clouds weren't just dark anymore. They were swirling, like a giant spiral forming over the city. Lightning flashing inside the clouds, not striking down, just glowing within, like something massive moving behind them. Someone whispered, "That's not normal." Another guy pulled out his phone. "Dude, look at this." Social media feeds were exploding. Videos from New York, Los Angeles, Texas, London. Same sky, same strange light, same fear. Church live streams popping up everywhere. Pastors praying, people crying. One post said, "Jesus warned us. Wars, disasters, deception. Wake up." Daniel's heart started pounding. He didn't want to believe it, didn't want to think about God, didn't want to think about judgment, but he couldn't ignore the feeling anymore, like time itself was running out. Suddenly, a deep sound rolled across the sky. Not thunder, not an explosion, something longer, heavier, almost like a horn, a trumpet. Everyone in the office froze. No one spoke. The sound vibrated through the glass windows, through the floor, through his chest. And for the first time in years, Daniel prayed. Not some fancy prayer, just one sentence under his breath. God, if you're real, please don't leave me behind. Outside, people were running into the streets now, staring upward, pointing, crying, calling loved ones. Sirens everywhere. The clouds split for just a second, and a bright golden light poured through, like the sun breaking open the sky itself.
The light didn't fade. It grew. At first, it looked like sunlight breaking through clouds after a storm, but this wasn't soft or warm. It was sharp, blinding, like the sky itself had cracked open. People covered their eyes. Car alarms started going off all over the street. Somebody screamed. Daniel stepped outside with the rest of the office crowd, his heart slamming against his ribs. The entire city had stopped. Traffic frozen in the middle of intersections, drivers standing outside their cars, hundreds of people staring straight up. No one filming anymore, no one joking, no one talking, just staring. The clouds twisted faster, like a giant whirlpool in the sky. Golden light poured down in beams, cutting through the darkness. It felt unreal, like a movie, but nobody was directing this. Nobody was safe behind a screen. This was happening right here, right now. His phone buzzed. Mom. He answered instantly. "Daniel," she cried, "are you seeing this? Tell me you're seeing this." Yeah, I'm outside. What is this?" "I don't know, but churches are filling up. People are running inside, praying. Your aunt said 3 kids disappeared from their neighborhood, just gone, clothes on the ground." Daniel frowned. Disappeared? Like kidnapped? No, like vanished. His stomach dropped. "That's not possible. I'm scared," she whispered. "Your grandma used to talk about this day. She used to say when it starts, it'll be sudden, no warning." He looked around again. A little girl was crying next to him, holding her dad's arm tight. 2 men were arguing loudly. "This is government testing something." "No, man, this is God. Stop saying that." Everyone had an explanation. Aliens, military weapons, weather experiment, anything but the one thing they didn't want to admit. Daniel tried to think logically. There had to be a scientific reason. There had to be. But then, another sound, that same deep trumpet-like blast, longer this time, stronger. It echoed across the city like it came from everywhere at once. Windows vibrated. Car windows shattered down the block. People dropped to their knees. Some covered their ears. Others started praying out loud right there in the street. "Our Father in heaven, Jesus, forgive me. God, please help us." Daniel had never seen anything like it. Grown adults crying like children. Total strangers hugging each other. Fear stripped everyone down to who they really were. And that's when something even stranger happened. A man standing near the bus stop suddenly gasped, like he couldn't breathe. His body shook. For half a second, he thought he was having a seizure. Then, flash. Not lightning, not fire, just light, quick and bright. And the man was gone. Gone. No smoke, no sound, just empty space where he had been standing. His coffee cup hit the pavement and rolled. Daniel stared at it. His brain refused to process what he just saw. A woman nearby screamed, "Where did he go?" Nobody answered, because no one knew. Then someone else shouted, "My wife, she was right here." Another voice, "My brother's gone." Panic exploded. People running, crying, calling names, phones dropping, sirens wailing louder. Daniel felt cold all over, not outside cold, inside cold, like ice running through his veins. His grandma's voice replayed in his mind. 2 will be in the field, 1 taken, 1 left. He used to laugh at those verses, thought they were symbolic, metaphors, stories. But this wasn't symbolic. This was real people, real disappearances right in front of him. He looked up again at the sky. The light above the clouds was brighter now, shapes moving inside it. almost like silhouettes, like figures rising upward. He couldn't tell if his mind was playing tricks or if it was actually happening. "God," he whispered. For the first time in his life, he wasn't skeptical, wasn't sarcastic, wasn't pretending he didn't care. He was scared, truly scared, because if this really was what he thought it was, if this really was what the Bible warned about, then one question hit him harder than anything else. Why was he still here? Why hadn't he disappeared too? His chest tightened. Guilt, regret, every prayer he ignored, every time he mocked faith, every Sunday he chose sleep over church, every later he told God. Suddenly, all of it felt heavy, like time had run out. Around him, the sky kept roaring. The golden light kept spreading wider across the clouds. More flashes happening in random places. More screams, more empty spaces where people used to stand. And Daniel just stood there frozen, watching the world change in real time.
Daniel couldn't move. His feet felt glued to the pavement. Sirens screamed somewhere far off, mixing with car horns and people shouting names into the chaos. But everything sounded muffled to him, like he was underwater, like the world had slowed down while his heart sped up. Boom, 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 each heartbeat louder than the last. He stared at the empty space where that man had been standing. Still gone. Still nothing. No explanation, no logic, just absence. A coffee cup rolling in small circles until it tipped over. That tiny sound felt louder than the screaming. "This isn't real," Daniel muttered to himself. "This isn't real." But it was, because his hands were shaking, because the air smelled like smoke and rain and something electric, because people don't vanish in hallucinations together. This wasn't in his head. This was happening to everyone. A woman nearby dropped to her knees, crying so hard she could barely breathe. My baby! My baby was in the stroller!" Daniel turned fast. The stroller was still there. Blanket inside, toys, bottle. No child. The mother clutched the empty seat like it might suddenly reappear. "Please, God, please bring her back, please!" Nobody knew how to help her. What do you even say to that? What words exist for something like this? Another trumpet blast shook the sky, longer, deeper. It felt like it vibrated through his bones. The clouds above churned like boiling water now, golden light spilling out in waves. Daniel could swear he saw shadows rising upward inside the beams, shapes lifting, like people being pulled straight into the sky. His brain screamed impossible, but his eyes said otherwise. His phone buzzed again, messages flooding in, group chat exploding. "Bro, turn on the news! Flights are crashing? My church pastor disappeared mid-sermon. What is happening?" He opened a live stream, every channel showing the same thing. Airports in chaos, hospitals overwhelmed, cars abandoned on highways, reporters crying on camera. One anchor kept repeating, "We are receiving thousands of reports of missing persons worldwide. We don't have answers yet." Their voice cracked. They looked terrified, not professional, not calm, terrified, which scared Daniel even more. If the people who are supposed to have answers don't have any, then what does that mean? He suddenly remembered something. His neighbor, old Mr. Carter. Every morning, Daniel saw him reading his Bible on the porch, always smiling, always saying, "God bless you, son." Daniel used to think he was weird, too religious, too old school. But today, Daniel hadn't seen him, not once. Without thinking, Daniel started running, through traffic, past crying crowds, past people praying in the streets. His lungs burned, but he didn't stop. He needed to know, needed proof, needed something that made sense. He reached his apartment building, front door wide open, elevator frozen, power flickering. He took the stairs 2 at a time. 3rd floor, hallway quiet, too quiet. He knocked on Mr. Carter's door. "Mr. Carter?" Nothing. Door slightly open. He pushed it. Inside, the room looked normal. TV still on, coffee still steaming on the table, Bible open on the couch, glasses resting beside it. But no Mr. Carter, just an empty house, like he had been there 1 second and gone the next. Daniel slowly stepped inside. His throat tightened. On the open Bible, 1 verse was highlighted in yellow. He didn't even know why he looked, but he did. His eyes locked onto the words. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. His skin went cold. Twinkling of an eye, trumpet, taken, gone. Exactly what was happening outside. He swallowed hard. No way. But it matched too perfectly, too exactly. This wasn't coincidence anymore. This wasn't science. This wasn't aliens. This was something bigger, something ancient, something people had been warned about for thousands of years. And somehow, he had ignored every single warning. A crash outside snapped him back. Daniel rushed to the window. Down on the street, people were fighting now, breaking into stores, stealing, shouting, fear turning into anger, chaos spreading fast. Because when people lose hope, they lose control. And Daniel suddenly realized something terrifying. If millions of people just disappeared all over the world, governments would collapse, planes would fall, hospitals would fail, food would run out, everything would spiral. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. This wasn't just a spiritual event. This was the beginning of total collapse. His phone battery blinked red, 1%. He stared at it, then at the sky, the golden light still pouring down, still moving, still taking people. And deep inside, one thought kept echoing louder than the sirens. What if this was only the beginning?
Daniel's phone died in his hand. Black screen, no signal, no connection, just silence. For a second, that scared him more than everything else, because now he was alone with his thoughts, and his thoughts were louder than the sirens outside. He set the dead phone on Mr. Carter's table and looked around the apartment again. Everything frozen in time. Coffee still warm. Chair slightly pulled back, like the old man had just stood up for a second and never came back. Daniel slowly picked up the Bible. His hands weren't steady. He didn't even know why he was holding it. He wasn't religious. He hadn't stepped into a church since he was a kid. Christmas maybe, Easter sometimes, that was it. But right now, this book felt heavier than anything he'd ever touched, like it held answers the world suddenly needed. He flipped a few pages randomly. Words he used to ignore now felt different, sharper, personal, almost like they were talking directly to him. Warnings, promises, judgment, hope, all mixed together. His chest tightened. What if they were right this whole time? He whispered. Another explosion of sound rolled across the sky. Not thunder, something deeper, like metal scraping against the heavens. He rushed back to the window. More light, brighter now, so bright it hurt to look at. Some people in the street were falling to their knees, praying. Others were screaming at the sky, cursing God. A guy smashed a car window with a brick and started grabbing whatever he could find inside. 2 men were fighting over bottled water like animals. It had only been, 20 minutes?
and society was already cracking. Daniel felt this cold realization sink into his stomach. If the good people really disappeared first, if the ones who believed were taken, then who's left? The scared, the angry, the selfish? People like him. The thought hit harder than he expected, because suddenly it wasn't about missing strangers. It was about him being left behind. Left behind. Those two words echoed in his head like a sentence, like he'd failed some test he didn't even know he was taking. He remembered laughing at Mr. Carter once. The old man had said, "Son, don't wait too long to figure things out. One day it'll happen faster than you think." Daniel smiled politely, changed the subject. Now that memory felt like a punch to the gut. "Why didn't I listen?" he muttered. Downstairs, a car alarm wouldn't stop blaring. Someone screamed, glass shattered, a gunshot popped in the distance, then another. The world was turning feral, fast. He stepped out into the hallway. Other apartment doors were open too. People peeking out, whispering, crying. A little kid hugging his older sister, asking, "Where's Mom?" The sister didn't answer. She just held him tighter. Daniel's throat burned. Nobody had answers. Nobody had control. The air itself felt heavier, like a storm was pressing down on the city. Then the power cut completely. Lights out. Everything dark, except the strange golden glow leaking through windows from the sky. Emergency alarms started whining somewhere in the building. The sound was low and constant, like the world groaning. Daniel walked toward the stairs slowly, every step echoing. He felt different now, not just scared, aware, like something invisible had shifted, like history had just split into before and after. Before the sky changed, after people vanished. Before normal life, after whatever this was. Outside, the streets looked worse, smoke rising from somewhere downtown, people running in random directions. A bus crashed into a pole, no driver, just chaos. Daniel moved through the crowd carefully, and everywhere he looked, missing. Empty shoes on the sidewalk, a jacket lying flat like someone slipped out of it, a grocery cart rolling by itself, tiny clues that people had been there seconds ago, then gone. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't cinematic, it was quiet, eerie, wrong, like reality had glitched. A man grabbed Daniel's arm suddenly, eyes wide, red, desperate. "Do you know what's happening? Tell me you know." Daniel opened his mouth. Nothing came out, because the truth forming in his mind sounded crazy, but also made too much sense. Trumpets, light, people taken, the faithful gone, warnings ignored. If this really was what Mr. Carter always talked about, then this wasn't random. This was prophecy. And if prophecy was real, then everything else written after it might be real too. Wars, disasters, things getting worse, way worse. Daniel looked back up at the sky. The light hadn't faded. If anything, it was spreading, like something bigger was still unfolding, still moving, still not finished. And for the first time since this started, he didn't just feel fear, he felt dread. Because deep down, he knew this wasn't the main event. This was only the beginning of what came next.
Daniel kept walking. Not fast, not slow, just moving, because standing still felt dangerous. Like if he stopped, the fear would finally catch up and swallow him whole. Sirens wailed somewhere far away, then stopped, then started again. The sound bounced between buildings like the city itself didn't know what to do. People were shouting over each other, phones in the air. "No service. Call won't go through. My mom's gone. She was right next to me. Check the hospitals. There's been some kind of attack." Nobody agreed on anything. Rumors were spreading faster than the panic. Terrorist strike, alien invasion, government experiment, solar flare. Everyone guessing, nobody knowing.
But Daniel knew, or at least he was starting to, because none of those explanations fit what he had seen. Clothes left behind, cars moving without drivers, whole families missing one person but not the other. It wasn't destruction, it was selection. That word chilled him. Selection. Like someone had chosen, like names were called, and his wasn't. A helicopter roared overhead, news channel logo painted on the side. It hovered low, searching, spotlights sweeping across rooftops like they were hunting something or someone. Daniel stepped into a small convenience store. The doorbell dinged like any normal day. That normal sound felt almost insulting. Inside, shelves were half empty already, not because of time, because of people. 2 guys were stuffing backpacks with food and batteries, not paying, not even pretending. The cashier's register was open, money gone. The place smelled like sweat and fear. A woman near the counter was crying while clutching a baby. "Please, has anyone seen my husband? He was holding her bottle and then—" She couldn't finish. Her voice broke. Daniel looked away. He couldn't handle that kind of pain right now, not when his own head was barely holding together. Near the back shelf, an old radio played static. Then suddenly, nationwide reports of mass disappearances, millions possibly missing. Authorities are asking everyone to remain calm. Remain calm. Daniel almost laughed. How do you stay calm when reality just broke? The radio crackled again. Some religious groups are calling this the Rapture. The word hit the air like a gunshot. People in the store froze. One of the guys stealing food stopped mid-step. Everyone stared at the radio. "We cannot confirm those claims, but churches across the country are reporting missing members, pilots, drivers, doctors, children, entire congregations." Silence filled the store. Nobody spoke, because even the people who didn't believe had heard that word before. Rapture. Daniel swallowed. His heart started pounding so loud he could hear it in his ears. Mr. Carter's voice replayed in his head again. "You don't want to be here when it happens, son." He used to say it gently, almost sadly, not threatening, not dramatic, just certain, like a man describing tomorrow's weather. Daniel grabbed a bottle of water from the shelf. His hands shook so badly he almost dropped it. He left a few dollars on the counter anyway. Didn't feel right not to, even now. Outside, the sky flickered again, like lightning behind clouds, but slower, deeper, golden. A strange pressure filled the air, like the moment right before a tornado siren. Everyone felt it, even if they didn't understand it. Cars were abandoned in the middle of intersections, traffic lights blinking red. Some people praying out loud, others yelling at God like he personally betrayed them. Daniel passed a church, doors wide open, people flooding inside like it was the last safe place on earth. Someone outside was shouting Bible verses through tears. "Repent, it's not too late." His voice cracked with desperation, not preaching, begging. Daniel stopped walking, just stood there, watching them run inside. For a second, he almost followed. Almost. His feet even shifted towards the steps, but something inside him hesitated. Fear? Shame? Guilt? Maybe all three, because walking into that church meant admitting something, admitting this was real, admitting he'd been wrong his whole life, and that thought scared him more than the chaos. A loud boom echoed across the city, not an explosion, something bigger, like the sky itself groaning. Windows rattled, birds scattered in every direction, people screamed again. Daniel looked up. The clouds weren't normal anymore. They were twisting, rolling inward, like something massive was moving behind them, hidden, watching, waiting. His stomach dropped, because deep down, he felt it. This wasn't over, not even close. Whatever took millions, whatever lit up the sky, whatever just shook the air like that, It wasn't done yet. It felt like the first domino had only just fallen, and the rest were still coming, one after another, faster and faster.
Daniel didn't realize he was holding his breath until his chest started to ache. The sky kept twisting, clouds folding into themselves like dark waves crashing in slow motion. It didn't look natural. It looked alive, like something huge was turning over behind a curtain. A cold wind rushed down the street, sharp and sudden. Loose papers lifted into the air, trash rolled past his feet, car doors creaked. Somewhere, a street sign snapped and clattered across the pavement. People screamed again, ducking like something was about to fall from above. But nothing fell. The pressure just stayed there, heavy, crushing, like the world was waiting for the next hit. Daniel rubbed his arms. Goosebumps, even though it wasn't cold. His whole body felt wrong, like every instinct was yelling, "Run!" But run where? There was nowhere normal left. A police cruiser sped past him, swerving hard. No siren, just reckless speed. 2 officers inside shouting into radios that weren't responding. One of them looked panicked, not trained, not in control, panicked. That scared Daniel more than anything, because if the police were scared, who was actually in charge now? Nobody. That was the answer. Nobody. A loud crash echoed from the next block. Daniel turned the corner. A grocery store window had been smashed. A crowd pushed inside like it was Black Friday, only meaner. People weren't shopping. They were grabbing, shoving, fighting. A guy punched an old man over a bag of rice. Someone else ran out with diapers and medicine. Survival mode, instantly. Civilization had lasted, 30 minutes? Maybe less. So this is all it takes, Daniel thought. Just remove hope and everything falls apart. His chest tightened again, because the people who vanished, the ones who believed, maybe they were the ones holding things together more than anyone realized, and now they were gone. He passed a parked car with the door open, engine still running, driver's seat empty, the radio playing some cheerful pop song like nothing happened. The normalness of it felt creepy. He reached in and shut it off. Silence rushed in. Too quiet. Then, a kid crying. Daniel followed the sound. Behind a bus stop bench, a little boy sat alone, maybe 6 years old, dirt on his face, backpack too big for his shoulders. He kept wiping his eyes with both hands. "Mom said don't move. She said stay here." Daniel knelt slowly. Hey, buddy, what's your name?" "Eli." "Okay, Eli, where's your mom?" The kid pointed at the sidewalk. Daniel looked. A purse, phone on the ground, but no mom. His heart dropped. He already knew. Still, seeing it like that hurt different. "She was right there," Eli whispered. "She was holding my hand." Daniel swallowed hard. What do you even say? Sorry your mom got taken to heaven and you didn't? The thought felt cruel, but what else made sense? He forced a small smile. "I'm gonna stay with you, okay? You're not alone." The boy nodded, grabbing Daniel's sleeve tight, like if he let go, Daniel might disappear too. That hit deep, because Daniel wasn't even sure he wouldn't. More trumpets echoed faintly again, not loud this time, far away, but still there, low, long, like an echo rolling across the earth. Daniel looked up automatically. Still that golden glow, still shifting, still not finished. Every time the sound came, his stomach flipped, like something else was happening somewhere else, something bigger than this city, bigger than the country, worldwide. He imagined planes with no pilots, hospitals losing surgeons mid-operation, ships drifting at sea, entire governments scrambling. The world wasn't just scared, it was breaking,
fast. Daniel stood, helping Eli up. "We gotta find somewhere safe, okay? Where? He opened his mouth, closed it. He didn't know. Safe didn't exist anymore, but standing in the open street definitely wasn't it. They started walking together, the kid's tiny hand gripping his tight. Daniel felt this weird responsibility settle on his shoulders, like maybe this was why he was still here, not chosen, not taken, but left for something, for someone, for this kid maybe. He didn't know, but it felt like the first clear thought he'd had all day, a purpose, even if small, even if temporary. They passed the church again, more people inside now, candles lit, voices praying loud, crying, begging. The doors wide open like anyone could walk in, like mercy was still available. Daniel slowed down. Eli looked up at him. "Are we going in there?" Daniel stared at the doorway, at the cross above it, at the people on their knees. His heart started pounding again, faster, harder, because something inside him whispered, "Maybe you should. Maybe this is your last chance. Maybe this is where answers are." The wind picked up again, the sky rumbled, and the strange golden light flickered brighter for just a second, like a signal, and Daniel took one slow step toward the church steps, Eli's hand still locked in his, the doors creaking open wider as the sound of prayers spilled out into the street, and the air around them feeling heavier with every breath, as if something unseen was drawing closer and closer and closer.
The church doors creaked louder as Daniel stepped closer. Not because someone pushed them, because the wind kept pulling them open, like the building itself was inviting people inside. Candles flickered through the stained glass windows, throwing red and blue shadows onto the sidewalk. Voices overlapped, prayers, crying, someone singing softly. It didn't sound organized, it sounded desperate. Eli squeezed Daniel's hand tighter. "Are we safe here?" Daniel looked down at him. He wanted to say yes, wanted to lie, but the word wouldn't come out. I don't know," he admitted quietly. They climbed the steps. Each footstep echoed like it mattered too much. Inside, the air felt warmer, thicker, like walking into another world. People filled every bench, some kneeling in the aisles, some hugging strangers. A woman clutched a Bible to her chest like a life jacket. A man kept repeating, I should have listened, over and over. Near the altar, a young pastor stood shaking, trying to speak into a dead microphone. "The Lord hasn't abandoned us," he said, voice cracking. "If you're still here, you still have time." The lights flickered. Half the room gasped. Generator kicked in somewhere. Buzzing hum, dim yellow glow returned. Daniel and Eli slid into the last pew. Daniel's heart wouldn't slow down. He wasn't even sure why he came inside. Fear? Hope? Instinct? Maybe all three. He stared at the cross at the front. Something about it felt different now. Before today, it was just decoration, symbol. Now, it felt real, heavy, like history had just proven itself. Like every warning he ignored suddenly had consequences. Eli leaned against him. "I'm scared," the kid whispered. "Me too," Daniel said. Honest, no pretending. Outside, tires screeched, someone yelling, then a loud crash. Nobody even turned anymore. Chaos had become background noise. A woman near them started praying out loud. "God, please forgive me. I wasn't ready. Please give me another chance." Her words hit Daniel straight in the chest. Another chance? Is that what this was? He thought about Mr. Carter again, the old man watering plants, smiling, always calm, always certain. Gone now, taken, while Daniel sat here shaking. "Why him and not me?" he muttered. His mind kept replaying memories. Every time he laughed at faith, every time he said maybe later,
Every time he chose comfort over truth. They stacked up now like evidence, like a list of missed warnings. The pastor kept talking. The Bible says there will be trials, darkness, deception. Don't lose hope. But even he sounded unsure, like he was convincing himself too. Suddenly, boom! The entire building shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Someone screamed. Car alarms outside all started at once. Daniel's heart nearly stopped. "What was that?" someone shouted. A guy ran to the door and looked out. His face went pale. Downtown, something exploded. Smoke everywhere. Panic spread instantly. Half the church stood up. People arguing. Run or stay. Hide or pray. Nobody agreed. Daniel felt that same pressure again, that invisible weight in the air, stronger now, like the world was tightening, squeezing. He stepped outside for air, Eli still holding his sleeve. The sky looked worse, clouds darker, the golden light slicing through in strange beams, like cracks in reality. Smoke rising far away, sirens non-stop, helicopters circling, and something else. Something new. Big digital billboards downtown flickered on. Emergency broadcast, government seal, static. Then a voice. "Remain calm. Authorities are working to determine the cause of the global disappearance event." Global. So it wasn't just here. It was everywhere, at the same time. Daniel's stomach dropped. No escape then. No safe country. No unaffected place. The whole planet was inside this. The voice kept talking, but nobody listened anymore. Because deep down, everyone already knew. This wasn't politics, wasn't science, wasn't war. It was something bigger, something biblical. Eli tugged his arm. "Daniel," his voice was small. Daniel looked down. The kid was staring at the sky, eyes wide. Daniel followed his gaze. The clouds above them were moving again, but not like before. This time, they were parting, slowly, like curtains being pulled back. And from somewhere high above, that low trumpet sound started again, long, deep, rolling across the world. Not loud, but unavoidable. You didn't just hear it, you felt it in your bones. People all around the street froze. Nobody spoke, nobody moved. Every face turned upward at the exact same time, like the whole city was being pulled by the same invisible string. Daniel's heart slammed against his ribs, because this didn't feel like something that already happened. This felt like something still happening, still unfolding, like the first wave had passed and another was forming right now.
The trumpet sound didn't stop. It stretched, low, endless, like metal scraping across the sky. Daniel felt it in his teeth, in his chest. Even Eli covered his ears. "Why is it so loud?" the boy whispered. "It's not loud," Daniel said slowly. And that scared him more, because it wasn't volume, it was presence, like the sound was inside them, not outside. The clouds kept peeling back, layer after layer, dark gray folding into gold, gold bleeding into white. The sunlight didn't look normal anymore, too bright, too pure, like staring at a welding torch. People around them dropped to their knees without even thinking, some crying, some praying, some just frozen. A guy near the street kept yelling, "This isn't real! This isn't real!" like repeating it might undo everything. A woman slapped him, screaming, "Wake up! Look at the sky!" Daniel couldn't look away. It felt wrong to blink, like if he blinked he'd miss something huge, something that explained everything. His heartbeat matched the rhythm of the sound above. Boom, boom, boom. Then his phone vibrated. He almost forgot he still had it. Screen full of notifications, missed calls, messages, group chats exploding. But one message caught his eye, from an unknown number, just 3 words. "Are you safe?" He frowned, opened it. No name, no picture, no other texts. He typed back, "Who is this?" Message failed. No signal again. Weird. It showed delivered for a second, then gone, like it never existed. A chill ran down his spine. Daniel tugged him again. "Daniel, look!" Down the block, a bus had stopped sideways across the road, doors open, driver gone, people trying to push it out of the way, others climbing through windows, stealing bags. Normal rules were gone now. No order, no waiting, just survival. Two men started fighting over bottled water, punches, blood, over water. Daniel stared. 30 minutes ago, these people were probably co-workers, neighbors. Now they looked like strangers, like animals. "So this is what happens," he muttered. "What?" Eli asked. "When everyone loses hope." The kid didn't answer. He just leaned closer. Daniel suddenly felt protective in a way he never had before, like the world had shrunk to just one job: keep this kid alive, everything else secondary. The church doors slammed behind them, more people running out now, not going in, running away. "What's happening?" Daniel asked one guy. The man shook his head, terrified. "They said more disasters are starting. Earthquakes overseas, power grids failing, planes crashing. It's spreading." Spreading, like dominoes. Daniel looked at the sky again. That light between the clouds flickered. For just a split second, he thought he saw shapes moving inside it. Not clouds, not birds, something bigger, massive silhouettes. His brain refused to process it. "Nope," he whispered. "Nope, that's just stress." But his gut said otherwise. The trumpet sound faded slowly. Not gone, just quieter, like it had moved farther away. But the pressure stayed, the air still heavy, still charged, like before a thunderstorm. Daniel checked the street signs, thought fast. "We need supplies," he said. "Why?" "Because I don't think help is coming." Saying it out loud made it real. No rescue, no quick fix. Whatever this was, it was long-term. They headed toward a pharmacy, glass already cracked, door half open. Inside smelled like dust and chemicals, shelves knocked over, medicine scattered everywhere. A couple arguing near the counter. Daniel grabbed a small backpack someone dropped, stuffed it with water bottles, granola bars, a flashlight, bandages. His hands moved automatically, like survival instinct had taken over. Eli followed quietly, too quiet for a kid his age. Shock, probably, or fear past the point of crying. Suddenly, the lights inside the store flickered off, pitch black. Someone screamed. Daniel froze. Then emergency lights buzzed on, dim red glow. Everything looked wrong, like a horror movie. A radio near the counter crackled to life by itself. No one touched it, just static. Then a voice. "If you're hearing this, stay indoors. More events are expected within the hour." Within the hour? Daniel's stomach twisted. More? How many more? How bad? He grabbed Eli's hand again. "We're leaving." They stepped back outside. The wind had picked up harder now, dust blowing down the street, sirens constant, smoke thicker in the distance. And the sky, it looked closer somehow, lower, like the clouds were pressing down on the city. Daniel felt small, tiny, like an ant watching the sky fall. People kept running past them, nobody talking anymore, just moving. Instinct, fear. Somewhere far off, another deep rumble rolled across the air. Not thunder, not an explosion, something heavier, like the earth itself groaning. Daniel stopped walking because he felt it again, that same sense as before, that something else was about to happen, something bigger than the last. And every nerve in his body was screaming the same warning: get ready.
Daniel and Eli kept walking, step after step, shoes scraping softly against the pavement. The city felt bigger now, too big, like all the noise that used to fill it had been erased. No traffic hum, no music from stores, no random conversations, just wind and the occasional distant siren that faded faster each time. Daniel checked the street sign, Maple Avenue. Eli's grandma lived somewhere past the railroad tracks. "At the yellow house," Eli said quietly, "with flowers outside." "Okay," Daniel nodded. "We'll find it."
He said it with more confidence than he felt. Every block looked the same now, empty. Cars parked sideways, front doors open, TVs still flickering inside living rooms like ghosts watching nothing. They passed a playground, swings moving slowly by themselves. Creak, creak, creak. No kids, just that lonely metal sound. Daniel felt his throat tighten. Life had paused everywhere, like the world forgot how to breathe. Suddenly, a dog barked, loud, sharp. Both of them jumped. A golden retriever ran across the street, leash dragging behind it. No owner, just running, lost. Daniel watched it disappear between houses. Even the pets were confused, everyone searching for someone who wasn't there anymore. Eli's grip tightened again. "Do you think my grandma disappeared too?" Daniel stopped walking, knelt down so they were eye level. He didn't want to lie to the kid, but he didn't want to crush him either. "I don't know," he said softly, "but we're gonna check, and whatever happens, you're not alone, okay?" Eli nodded, trying to be brave, way braver than Daniel ever was at that age. They kept moving. A few other survivors passed by. Nobody talked much, just tired looks, nods, like strangers in the same nightmare. One guy pushed a shopping cart full of canned food. A woman carried 3 cats in a laundry basket. A teenager rode past on a bike with a backpack twice his size. Everyone adapting, fast, because they had to. The sky was finally losing that golden glow, turning orange now. Sunset. Daniel hadn't even realized the day was ending. It felt like everything happened in one long hour, but time kept moving anyway. Didn't care what the world was going through. Normal sunset, normal breeze, completely abnormal life. They crossed the railroad tracks carefully, metal creaking under their feet. Daniel looked down both directions. No trains running. Of course not. Who would be driving them? The thought made him shake his head. So many invisible systems had broken today, things people never even thought about. Pilots, doctors, engineers, teachers, parents, gone, like someone erased half the planet with one breath. And somehow, he was still here, still walking, still breathing, still given another day. That thought settled deep inside him. Not guilt this time, not fear, something else. Gratitude, mixed with responsibility. Like maybe life wasn't just random anymore. Maybe every step mattered now. "Daniel," Eli said suddenly, pointing. "There!" Across the street, a small yellow house, white fence, little flower pots out front, exactly like he described. Daniel felt a tiny spark of relief. Finally, something good. They hurried toward it. The gate creaked open, front door slightly ajar. Daniel's heart pounded again. "Grandma?" Eli called softly. No answer. They stepped inside. House smelled like cookies and lavender. Normal. Too normal. TV still on low volume, knitting basket on the couch, glasses on the table. Daniel's chest tightened. Signs someone had been there just minutes ago. Then, "Eli?" A weak voice from the hallway. Both of them froze. "Grandma!" Eli shouted. An old woman stepped out, shaking but alive, tears already falling. She dropped her cane and hugged him tight. "Oh, thank God! Thank God!" Daniel let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. She was still here. Still here. Not everyone was gone. Some people remained. Some families still had a chance. The old woman looked at Daniel. "You stayed with him?" Daniel nodded. "Yeah." She grabbed his hands with both of hers. "Bless you, son." Nobody had ever said that to him before. Not like that. Not with that much meaning. It hit harder than he expected. He stepped back toward the door. "Well, he's safe now." "You're not going anywhere," she said gently. "Stay. Night's coming. It's not safe out there." Daniel looked outside. street getting darker, quieter, still broken. Then looked back at them, at the small light inside the house, at the only warm place he'd seen all day. He nodded. Yeah, okay. They locked the door, turned off all the lights except one lamp, sat together on the couch. No one talking much, just breathing, alive. Outside, the city stayed strangely silent. No more trumpets, no more flashes, just distant wind moving through empty streets. Daniel stared out the window at the darkening sky. Everything had changed, forever. The world he knew this morning didn't exist anymore. But somehow, in the middle of all that loss, he wasn't alone. And for the first time since the sky split open, his heart wasn't racing, just steady, quiet, waiting. Whatever tomorrow brought, they'd face it together. And the night slowly settled over the city as the last light faded from the clouds, leaving only the soft glow of the little yellow house standing warm against the darkness, like hope refusing to disappear.